Hi everyone, today I want to show you some pen and ink techniques. These are useful not only for pen and inking, but they're useful for when you start doing your scratch board. What I'm showing you today is how to create value using line rather than shading. So the first thing that I want to show you is hatching. Let's say that I am making I know, I'll do a 4. And I'm using my 0.8 pen. I'm going to draw a form, oval, 2 straight lines, curve underneath, and then I'm going to use hatching to show value. All I'm doing is creating lines. This is all hatching is. They don't have to be one long, consistent line, but the closer they are together, the darker your value is. And the farther away they are, the lighter it is. So all hatching is a series of lines. And it looks like I'm starting to run out of ink here, so I need to switch pens. So there's hatching. And again, the lighter you go, the farther apart you go, the lighter it is. So I've started with a whole bunch of lines right here, and I've gotten lighter and lighter and farther apart as I've moved to the light source, which is over here. So this is one way of showing value without showing shading. If you were going to do this on a scratch board, you'd do the same thing. You'd show your shape, and I'll just make another one of these. I don't want to use that. I want to use this one because this is what you're going to be using. This is called a stylus. So there is my cylinder. I'm just going to make those same lines. And this is going to create a reverse image because I'm working with black and going to white. Farther apart. So with this one, your light source would actually be over here on this side. Now that's hatching. Hatching can also go across this way. It does not just have to be straight up and down. So that is hatching. Now I'm going to show you cross hatching. Cross hatching looks like this. Or it can look like this, where you don't actually overlap your lines. That's also cross hatching. And this is another way to build up value without doing shading. And if I was to put that on a scratch board, that would look like this. I think I'll use the cylinder again, just because it's an easy way to explain it. Once again, my light source is going to be on the other side.
Can I get Braden Casales with all your things to go home to the office, please?
And then I'm going to go lighter. And even lighter. I'm not pressing hardly at all. I'm just making some lines. I'm doing a little bit of overlapping. And over here, barely any at all. So this is my shadow side over here, and this is my light source side. So this is cross hatching. Now the next one I want to show you is stippling. This one takes forever, so I'm not going to show you a whole lot of stippling. I'm just going to make a circle, and I'm going to turn this into a form by using tiny little dots. Lots and lots of tiny little dots out here. And then as you go towards your light source, fewer and further between. And you can go as dark as you want with that dark part. You can make it so that they touch each other, they overlap each other. When you're doing the dots, turn your pen kind of to the side because these things have very delicate tips, and if you hammer it down like this, you're going to damage the tips, and eventually the pen will break and or explode. So I'm going to build it up just a tiny bit more over here. And that will give you the basic idea of what stippling is. Now, if I was going to do that on here, let's see, that is really bright. So I'm going to move it up. Hopefully you can still see it. I'll make my circle. Oops, no biggie. It's not going to ruin anything. And I'm going to start doing tiny little lines up here at the top. A bunch of them. Lots and lots and lots of tiny little lines. It's really difficult to do stippling in pen and ink, but you can do a similar technique with little bitty lines. So this is my light source up here. I just kind of make them go in every which direction. I don't want them too uniform for this. And then as I get further away from my light source, I should put fewer and farther between. I mean, more space between my lines. That's what I'm trying to say. And then as you go towards your dark side, you're just going to go really, really light. And then there's my shadow down here at the bottom. So that is probably about as close as you need to go to stippling. When you're doing pen or scratch board. Okay, the next one that I'm going to show you is called scumbling, and I'll show you that on here first. Scumbling is when you do scribbles and build up area. So let's say I'm doing a tree, and I really don't have time to show every single leaf. I'm just going to do some controlled scribbles. And then in areas that I want more shadow, I'm just not going to press as hard or make as many scribbles. So maybe that's a shadow in my tree. So your heaviest area, you take the most ink off. And then your lighter area, you don't take as much ink off. So that's what scumbling looks like. And then when you do that on your paper, it's the same technique. All it is controlled scribbling. This is probably the easiest and the fastest pen and ink technique. darker for areas where you want more shadow, since we're using ink and not taking away, and lighter for areas where you want less shadow. So that's scumbling. And then the other one that I want to show you is called contour hatching. And I think I'll use another sphere for this one. Or better yet, let's do a pumpkin. So there's my all-purpose pumpkin. Not especially pretty. I'll put a few lines in it. But now I'm going to do some contour hatching to show value. Contour hatching isn't a whole lot different from hatching or cross hatching, except that your lines are curved. So I'm curving my lines down toward the bottom, and I can use some cross hatching in there if I want to really build up the value down here. So this is contour hatching. It's the same as hatching or cross hatching, only you're using curved lines instead of straight lines. On your scratch board, that's going to look something like, let's see, I'm trying to get that light out of the way so you can see. That's going to look something like this. We use the cylinder again. That would be if you went this direction to build up value. So instead of straight lines, you're using curved lines to go with the shape of the cylinder. And then lighter, and even lighter as you go toward the dark side of the piece. And if you want to, you can make some lines this way. You can mix these, you can interchange them, you can do whatever you need to do to them to get the effect that you're looking for. And then one more thing that I do want to show you is how to do wavy lines. And I have an example of that right here that I'm going to show you. I hope everybody can see that. So we're going to practice doing this on the scratch board. It's sort of like a wood grain technique. I'm going to start by just making sort of a teardroppy, football-y type shape. And I'm going to scratch a whole bunch off to show some value. This is really good if you're trying to make wood grain or something. And then I'm going to make some irregular shapes in there, sort of like what you see in a piece of wood. And then I'm just going to fill up my area with different wavy lines. I can press really hard in some areas. I can go over it again to make a thicker line. I can go really thin in other areas to make thinner lines. So the same techniques that you use to create value in pen and ink are the type of techniques that you're going to use to create value when you're doing your scratchboarding. So there's a demonstration of both scratchboard and pen and ink techniques.